and that is ready to go. And I tell you what, before we start, let me stop that. It says only got like one bar for my battery. Let me,
You got another battery?
yeah, let me get another set.
Probably good.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Can y'all hear over there? Yeah, I think everybody can hear you.
Okay, good. I apologize for not being there and late notice, but we have some positive COVID cases in our building. We have avoided it this whole time, and we have had a flare-up. And so I just didn't feel good about being around you guys. I'm just trying to take myself out of everybody's way, and so that's why I wanted to do my meeting tonight virtual. So
We appreciate that, thank you.
you are most welcome.
Yeah, right.
John's coming in?
Well, let me say something clean. I think we ought to,
Y'all
we can let it in.
Y'all can have
Okay,
to.
okay, we can. So, okay, well then,
Do we need to bring a
Kathy, why don't you sit here?
Well, what about Cooper?
Who?
Cooper, your student rep,
What about it?
you moved him over.
Come on over here, Cooper. You've been promoted.
This will probably be the only time you get to do this, Cooper.
Yeah, you've just been promoted. Is there anybody else out there? You sure?
I haven't checked it.
Well, I don't like
I
that.
don't know that I've really checked it much today.
Okay.
He was, yeah, Cooper. He's in the Cooper page club.
You see what? I don't know what that is.
You're on TV.
That was the question that I was here together, so you don't have to,
Okay,
so I'll get back to you.
okay, that sounds good. I give you several, I don't,
It's not day three.
it's all right,
Day
you're,
three.
you're
We did a
good.
little rearranging of
But you
seats so we
answered
can
my
get our
question.
guests
Okay.
in with us.
That will,
Okay, I think we're in good shape.
I tell you, somebody else is coming. I just got a message a while ago, from Amanda Sexton. Chris Sexton wanted to come and speak, so, is he here? Okay, 'cause I didn't know, he needed to sign up or whatever, afraid he was gonna be a few minutes late or something.
He's good. There will be there's a place in the agenda for them to do that.
Okay, Ms. Waller, we are back in action now. You ready?
All right, yes, sir.
Okay.
We will go ahead and call our meeting to order then for this evening. If everyone can stand for invocation, Mr. First, I'll lead us.
Let us bow for it, please. Dear most holy Father in heaven, we come here this evening to thank you, Father, for your love for us, for all that you do for us. We thank you, dear Lord, of course, for your Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and the opportunity you gave us to find a home in heaven with you if we would but serve and obey him here on earth. Father, we ask that you be with each and every person here tonight, all the parents of our school system, our students, teachers, staff. We ask that the decisions that are made are in the best interest of those people and that we do our best to be able to do that. Bless us and go with us, dear Lord, in all that we do. For it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Crew, would you lead us in our pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. At this time, we have issued an invitation to any members of the audience that might like to address something that is listed on our agenda for this evening. If there's anyone in the audience who wants to speak to any item that's on the
There's some people that
agenda,
just pulled up.
you can sign in.
Regina, there's some people just pulling up in the parking lot. One had texted ahead, said that they wanted to sign up. So we might just revisit that here in just a minute and give them time to get in.
Okay. Okay. You would like to go ahead and approve our consent agenda, or
item there to speak to?
I do not.
We do not.
I just had to approve the agenda, the consent, we're not gonna approve the consent, but if it's something, I guess we could approve it if you wanted to speak to something in that
Yeah,
anyway.
We can, and then we can go back.
You wanna go ahead and approve the agenda
Yeah,
then for this
let's go
evening?
ahead and, let's go ahead and approve our, well, we need to approve our agenda for the evening,
Yes,
first of
ma'am.
all,
Yes, ma'am.
for this evening. Do I have a motion to approve our agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Kerr,
Mhm.
and second
I'll second.
by Mr. Pruitt. All right, thank you guys, all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Aye. So carried. Then we'll move on to our consent agenda. We had our work session, and we pulled out several things to talk about consent agendas. And is there any items that anybody would like to have pulled, or any kind of further discussion on any of those at this time?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to add one thing, that I failed to cover on the work session, but everybody has that in front of them. It is a contract with Rackley Roofing. It's a contact, it's a biannual inspection and service agreement with Rackley Roofing. It is
Do you want to
a three-year
speak?
contract.
Okay, when Clint gets through talking,
They have inspected
we'll just
our
have you
roof
come in and sign it. Okay.
elementary
And
school,
then, and there's a
fourth
chair
and
right
fifth
over there.
grade
You can
wings,
sit when you get
the
through
old
signing.
existing middle
You'll
school
hear better.
clean.
All right, thank
And we got, of course, it's over 20 years old. Ms. Madru, I think you will attest that we've got several leaks in that end. That was the end that was causing the fire alarm problem this weekend. And, but we spent $57.65 to do the repairs that they said. And then for $2,400 a year, then they'll make all the repairs under the contract. And Mr. Cothran said that a service call is typically $1,600 a time. So 2 service calls would pay for this. So you've got that in front of you, and I would ask you to, I mean, whatever you want to. I put it in consent, and that's the only thing that's different from the work session.
What item did you guys have to?
It is the very last item.
Is it the 2AA?
It is the 2AA, approved elementary school roof service agreement.
Okay.
So you're, see, all contracts have to be approved by the Board of Education. And this is a service contract. So what you're approving is the service contract. A 3-year contract at $2,400 each. Of course, we can pull it and put it in new business if you like.
Okay, you said that, so we have time to look over, does anybody have anything that they would like to pull out of the consent agenda?
Y'all want to discuss that more, the contract?
Okay? All right, I will, okay, we'll just move that later then. It was in the work session. I mean, it's been on the agenda the whole time. We just didn't cover it the other night.
Let's just move it to new business.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it there instead of having to get out of this thing, but we'll bring it back. Ms. Waller, did you get that? They wanna bring it to new business.
Yeah.
So we'll let that be the last thing we do. How's that?
The new business, I got you.
Yep.
And if there's any other
With the
on the
exception
consent
of
agenda
the
that y'all want to pull, this is the time to just say you
do I
want to
have a
talk
motion
about
then to
it.
approve our consent agenda for the evening?
Okay, she's asking for a call for the consent agenda, I believe.
So every meeting, everything under the consent agenda will be listed. And if you thought about things since the work session that you want to ask questions about, then all you would say is, I want to pull 2-H and move it to new business, just so we could discuss it more. So if there's any of those y'all want to do that with, now's the time to say so.
Well, I'm new at this, so I'm gonna ask this question. I talked to Ben today that come up here and met with us.
Yes.
I wanted to see, he told me that I could make a motion at the first of the meetings to have something put up for a vote if it was accepted by the board.
Right, that would be, to add to the agenda. Or bring something to add to the agenda.
Actually, that should have been, I don't know, but we've approved the agenda for this
Well,
evening.
if I can do it, it's.
No, I mean, the board can pass the rules anytime, they have to vote to do.
Yes, let's vote, add.
Mhm.
Yes. I would like to add vote for Rio School.
Okay. Let's see, we do, Ms. Waller, Mr. Schroeder,
By
Or just off.
fall break. Or after fall break.
motion to add to the agenda. About Rio School.
In the fall break.
Well, y'all can talk about that one.
Okay, I just.
Is that okay?
Sure.
All right,
And I
so,
have one more,
okay.
to make a
We
change.
got to get a second.
Okay.
I mean, do we have another agenda item?
Yes.
Okay. What would that
To
be?
change the math requirements.
Change the.
Math requirements.
Okay. Okay. So we've got two motions by Mr. Sullivan to add to the agenda for this evening to topic Rio School and protect mass requirements. So Ms. Waller, you're going to take those one by one and vote whether they want to add those to the agenda for this evening.
Okay, so we've got a motion,
Well, no, the motion is just to put on the agenda, Rio School. And y'all talk about that then, if we need to get to that point.
Right, okay,
Yes.
I'll second it, because always need more some, we're discussing.
Second for Mr. Kerr, and all in favor say aye. Mr. Kerr, seconds that. All right, and all in favor say aye. All right, all opposed? So carries. Okay, we'll add those.
We'll add those at the end of the agenda.
And Clint, now she could read a few, I don't know if she can hear me. Ms. Waller, now would be the time to ask if anybody'd like to sign in to speak to an agenda item.
Right, that'd be great. If there's anyone there that would like to speak to an agenda item,
Okay.
they can
Which
sign
one
in
do you
at
want
this time.
The last two that you just mentioned.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I know it's just legible right in there. You just sign your name, or do you want to speak to both of them?
Yes.
We'll say.
Well, I figured it was, it got by me before we got there.
That's fine. Hey, you got to learn.
Okay, cool. The first motion is to reopen the school. The second one is protective mask.
We're just putting those on right.
Okay, just that one, that's the only one you want to talk to? Okay. Madam Chairman, what'd you say?
We're just putting those on after
Yeah.
after the election, after the root agreement, and then we're adding these, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is that good? So I think now we are ready to, where are we?
We have
We still don't have a
Consent
approval.
agenda.
Oh, we're on the consent agenda. Okay, so I can't read as far. I'm back here at the end of the room now.
That's okay.
You need me to move for you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm fine. Okay, so we're going to the consent agenda now.
Yes, so do we have motion to approve our consent agenda at this time?
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Town.
Ms. Towns makes a motion, and a second. By Mr. Crook?
Yep.
All in favor say aye.
a.
Aye. Any opposed? So carried. agenda approved. It was already approved our agenda, so now we'll move on to, principal's report. Is that,
Yes, ma'am.
all right, do we want to start with Ms. Madru?
Yes,
She's hot on the agenda right here.
I thought that we were changing it so that high school went first, but I always go first.
I know, I'm out of my element.
We have been busy at the elementary school with, first of all, just our health protocols. Our nurse, Elizabeth Cochran, is doing a fantastic job in and out, all over the building. She's wonderful. She notifies me immediately if she has to send a child home who is symptomatic. And at the end of the day, I receive a spreadsheet of those students. And we also chat at the end of the
Still there?
day.
You still there?
Yeah. I'm
Somebody
not
tried
there.
to call in, okay, I'm just wondering, you lose you.
Okay.
Gotcha. Juggling a lot of things.
That's okay, that's okay.
you're doing great.
It's okay. I didn't want you to miss any of this before.
Gotcha.
We chat at the end of the day, so if she's seen any issues, we'll go over them at that time so that we can be sure to address them. Mid-9 weeks reports were sent home, and with that, I have gotten quite a bit of feedback, and a lot of it has been questions about assignments or grades. So we have, and this is something that we're having to work through with teachers and with parents, especially in grades 3 through 5. The kiddos are not organized, and we are expecting them to just jump right into that Google Classroom, and it has been a challenge. So we're having to teach them how to be organized. We're having to teach them how to study, how to teach them how to pull up the videos, pause the videos, work on their assignment, and hit play again. So that's a struggle, that's a challenge, but they are doing very well. So just the juggling of completing assignments, following up on those assignments, there have been some missing work. So we are just encouraging parents, email that teacher so that teacher can work with that kiddo and we can figure out what's going on. And I know, and my mama bear calls come out, and I want to call that director too. And then that director calls that principal, which is me. And then that principal calls that teacher, and then that teacher and the principal. So we go about it that way instead of I go directly to that teacher, we figure out what's going on, and we go back the other way. So the quickest way to resolve the issues is to email that teacher so we can find out what's going on. And a lot of it has been just the missing assignments, or this hasn't been completed, or we're working on a plan. So we're still in the learning stages, but it's getting better. Also, I have heard from parents the learn from home engagement, that sometimes the kiddos at home are not wanting to complete their assignments. So we're still trying to help with that and making sure that our kiddos, I remind them every day that our jacket expectations apply inside and outside of the classroom. So just helping parents to hold kids accountable. So knowing that they are expected to be productive, and that's productive when you're on the learn from school day and productive on the learn from home day. So we're still navigating through that. Virtual school at the elementary is a little different because we have one teacher that is assigned to the kiddos. So they are working through it. It's amazing to watch those kiddos on those Google Meets and learning how to navigate the platform. It's pretty exciting. You'll hear probably about the assignment page. At the high school, we use the assignment page. The elementary, we use the agenda. Because, and we call it agenda page, but now we call it the assignment page. Because our kiddos need a little more assistance. I know I was working with a kiddo and trying to figure out what in the world is your assignment. And I couldn't read the kid's writing. So how can I help? And I put myself in the position of a parent. How can I support the kiddo if I can't even read it? So first of all, we talked about accountability, as in, is that your best writing? We need to do our very best so that I can support you. So I met with our teachers, we tweaked the way that we did the agenda so that we could better support our kiddos. So parents in grades 3, 4, and 5 would have seen a written agenda or a typed agenda by the teacher. And that was a communication of what was due when. So that helped at the elementary school, and the teachers, again, were modeling, showing kiddos how to use a check mark to say, hey, I've completed this assignment. And I know all of these things sound like, are you kidding me? But our kiddos, they don't understand that, and we have to teach them. So they're getting better. And now they'll pull out their agenda. They have a paper copy of that agenda that's also in the Google Classroom, and it helps them to navigate what they have to do. We are excited about our Google Classroom parent training on Monday, September 28th at 6 p.m. at the high school. Our 3rd grade will have their Google training, and I will be there with our 3rd graders. We're really taking it slow with our 3rd graders. That's a big lift. So we're trying to navigate all of these things with our 3rd graders, but not do it so that it's overwhelming. But our 4th and 5th grade, Miss Z will be there, and 4th and 5th grade, they have really jumped into that Google platform, and it's amazing to see those 5th graders in the ELA classes. The teacher has assigned something, she's sitting at her computer, and she's giving immediate feedback to the students who are at home, as well as the students who are in class. So it's just awesome to watch those kiddos navigate. And of course, our teachers are working diligently to ensure that our Learn from Home and our Learn from School days are successful. And one of our highlights has been that we have been able to stay in school as long as we can. And of course, with the adherence to the social distancing protocols, that has helped, and that's also helped on discipline. Do you know how hard it is to get in trouble because you can't reach anybody because we stay 6 feet apart? So, and we've also really been able to capitalize on our deficits of our kiddos, especially in those younger grades. And we have been able to give them more one-on-one, and we have our push-in acceleration. So we have an additional teacher coming in to support our kiddos in their foundational skills. So that's making a huge difference in really making sure that our kiddos are learning to read and filling those gaps, as well as pushing with that on level or grade level instruction. So, any questions? No.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Badru? Sounds like it's going good. Thank you, Ms. Badru.
Thank you.
Ms. Towns got a question.
I was just wondering, the teachers at the elementary school, I think it's a whole different ballgame than the middle and
Oh,
the high
gosh,
school.
yes.
How would they feel about going back full time?
Do you want me to be honest? I mean, they are, it's our teachers support what we're doing now with the social distancing. And they want those kiddos here as much as the next person, but without the social distancing and the thought that kiddos are going to would have to wear a mask every day, all day long, and we're trying to teach foundational skills. I'm breathing heavy, trying to speak louder so that everyone can hear. And watching other counties that are on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again. We want to be able to teach our kiddos, and we were worried. We didn't know how it was going to fall. But to see that there's a lot that you can do when you have 12 kiddos as opposed to 25 kiddos. So our teachers support what we're doing right now because they get to see their kiddos every other day, and we haven't had to. And that social distancing, that allows us to do that. So
Thank you. I
You're
wanted to
welcome.
see what they felt like.
it's not a good feeling. So, and our teachers feel that our district has taken the safety of our students and our staff and put that up front. So,
Mr. Drew, you might want to add about the teachers meeting we had with the early grade teachers and their response. This might be a good time to tell them
okay,
that.
it was not a good response. I'm a planner. I want to know what are we going to do. I want to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. What do we have? We have a short-term closure, I can pull out a plan. We have a long-term closure, I can pull out a plan. I want to know what we're going to do in that event. So just pulling my teachers together, and this was just K through 3, because the 4 and 5, they're on Google Classroom, so they can get that instruction. And I'm not teaching kiddos, we're not teaching those kiddos how to read. This is especially in that first grade, those foundational skills, that's where the meat is. And we wanted to see just a feel, and it was a negative response. And even some of the kiddos have health concerns, and they said, you know, I will have to take my child and do something else because I can't risk the health of my child with other issues, underlying issues. So it was a tough conversation to have. Did I capture?
So to clarify, Ms. Badru, when you say that it was a negative response, you were saying actually they were against a full reopening at this time?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
Absolutely.
That you were saying.
And the first question was, will we be able to socially distance, and will the kids have to wear a mask all day?
Right,
Those were the first 2 questions.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Any other questions?
Okay, if no other questions for Ms. Badru, we will go ahead and call on Mr. McCall.
Over in the corner.
Can you see him here?
Who put baby in the corner?
I know, right? It's a good seat. I got good view. Okay, in terms of, our hybrid schedule, I think we're hitting our stride in terms of effective online instruction. Obviously working out of 3 buckets. The first one being at school days. They've been great days. Obviously we have a low teacher-student ratio, which has been impactful on education. A lot of times, we might have, let's just be real, 25 to 30 kids in a class, so small numbers. I think that's been impactful on those learn at school days. At home days have been good, but we've seen a big impact on student grades on that. Sort of re-emphasizing what Ms. Badru said, students that struggle in school have struggled with the at-home days in terms of their consistency with their work. Virtual has been really, and you'll hear this from Ms. Dixon, I believe, it's been really hit and miss. Kids do really good, or they don't do really good, and that all that depends on if parents are on, what kind of structure is there. but it's been top and bottom. We started with 37 kids in virtual, currently we're at 31, and we saw when the new grade reports came out, we had a lot of kids come back to hybrid. So I think I had 5 kids after we sent bigger reports come back to hybrid to get some of that in-class instruction with that blend of at home. Google Classroom's been a work in progress, but I think that's something we've grown as we've gone on, just syncing up instruction and our procedures from class to class. I think we're very consistent class, teacher. We did a little assignment sheet, just sort of lay out the week for parents, because with Google, you can assign or you can submit, so there's a little, teachers have a little choice in that, so we wanted to clean that up where parents could see something at the start of the week. We've also really pushed home communication, putting those guardian emails in Google Classrooms. It gives parents daily updates, weekly updates on what their students are doing, what they haven't done, what they have to do. So that's helped, obviously, getting our parent portal information out in terms of Power School, where they can see their grades. We've got our Google Classroom parent training coming up September 30th, so I'm excited about that. I know that's sort of going to be very similar 3 through 12, but I think that'll be a good thing. I know it's a little late in the game, but we want to make sure it was right, that parents could get that and see that communication, because Google is something going forward, regardless of what we do today, tomorrow, after Christmas or spring break, we're going to use Google as a major component in our classrooms. In terms of health, we've had no major, and I'm just speaking of my school, no major shutdowns due to quarantine, so no classroom shutdowns, sports shutdowns, school shutdowns. The majority of our, anytime we quarantine somebody, it's been a singular individual and affected siblings. Again, I think we've been pretty effective relative to schools around us in terms of LinkedIn, overlapping cohorts, and only having half our students there every day. As I've said with anything we've done, our health plan has evolved, based on what we've seen, based on guidance that we've got from above us. But our focus has been on efficiently assessing risk, minimizing time and exposure, and the privacy of our students and parents. That's one thing that was big to me, that if we do have a potential risk or something we're concerned about, we've been very proud of that information in terms of students and parents. Sometimes you see stuff on Facebook, that's not from us, because we want to respect the privacy of our parents and our students. In terms of quarantine, I'm just going to post some numbers out. We've had 5 teachers quarantined in my building. That's been obviously a major issue because we have 0 subs. I've had 25 days where teachers have been out for various reasons, and I've had 1 sub in my building. All right, so that means my teachers have covered for teachers this whole time, and they've done a dang good job about it. But the subs are an issue. In terms of quarantine, I've seen 19% of my students have been quarantined or isolated at some point throughout this year. Only 2% of those have been quarantined or isolated twice. And again, I'll say 98% of that is precautionary. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping it out of our building where we can keep on moving. In terms of teacher stress level, what teachers are dealing with, obviously we're managing in 3 buckets. Every day, students have students learning at home, learning at school, and virtual. So they're managing that. Although virtual is the majority, like I said, 37% or 31 of my students, it takes up, I'm going to estimate 30% of their planning. So it takes a lot of time doing those Google Meets at synchronous items, but it's been good, and I think our teachers have learned a lot through this process. Let's see. I guess the biggest stress, I talked to my teachers today, I sort of met with everyone on my staff, it's just student effort. Same thing we would deal with if we were in school, but student effort. I think that stresses teachers out because we want to do the best job we can regardless of the situation we're in. In terms of my school, athletics, we're rolling right now. Volleyball, I left there 10 minutes ago to come here. We're 9-0. We're doing an awesome job. JV's 9-0 as well. Went up and Macon and whooped them the other night, which was awesome. We just beat Walter J out of Lebanon right now. So our volleyball team is doing awesome. Coach Gregory, Miss Jones are doing an amazing job with those girls. Football, we started 2-0. We're 2-2. We didn't do so well against Macon. But we got another game Tuesday. We're ready to go. We got homecoming Tuesday on the Creek Bank. We're going to do it at halftime. Because of COVID, the way it affected schedules, we usually make our football schedule, volleyball, Putnam County dropped out of our conference, so we had to do football again, so we got a little over, I got 3 games where I got volleyball. And one night I went to Gainesboro and then drove to Livingston. It was a long night. But we do have volleyball that night early. We moved halftime, but those girls can get back. Our queen is 8th grader Aubrey Wimple. Our 8th grade attendant is Miss Reagan Petty. 7th grade attendant Miss Evelyn Towns. And then, like I said, Coach Gregory, Coach Wester, coaching those guys, and Miss E is our first year cheer coach, and she's doing an amazing job. Last thing in terms of plant management, we're putting a roof on the building. And I found out real quick, to put a roof on a building, you gotta put holes in a roof. The football field was not the only thing that flooded. So, because it was rough, let's say that. But we're getting there. Those guys are doing a great job. We're trying to minimize the impact on school, but they're working every day, and I'm excited. You know, you gotta move backwards to move forward, and I'm really excited about what that's gonna look like here, once we get that thing on. Any questions?
How do your teachers feel about the next?
My teachers obviously want to be back. I think every teacher in the district, if you ask them, would want to be back. I think they're comfortable with what we're doing right now. But if you ask every one of them, I would say 99% of them would say they like what we're doing right now. And again, the best education is us to see our kids every day in a perfect scenario. But it's a struggle right now. And my concern straight up is the sub situation, because the sub situation is not getting better. And, you know, until you're in a building, understand what I'm talking about when I'm saying teachers are covering teachers. Teachers are losing planning because they're covering teachers. This teacher's out. I've got 5 different teachers covering each block to get it going. Mr. Reese Del Reese has been my saving grace. He's my only TA. Has helped me out tremendously. But, you know, it's a precarious situation where most people outside school don't understand how that impacts us. Any other questions?
Any other questions for, Mr. McCall?
I don't have one for him, but he brought up a stat that I thought was important. I'd like to go back and ask if Demetrius knows that stat. How many of your teachers have been isolated this year? Roughly. I don't expect an exact number, you know, because I just hit you with that.
I'm actually gonna give that report.
Yeah,
she's got the
Oh, you got that?
I
Okay.
tried not-
Kathy's got
I
it.
tried not to steal her thunder.
Oh, no, that's fine, that's fine. Just wait till
I
Kathy
mean, I
give it
can
to
tell,
us.
but I had some that were.
No, I would just want the total, so that's perfect. That's great. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, so are we good to move on then with, Dickerson?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I'll start with the health and nurse protocols. I'm excited because I have a nurse full-time. First time ever. Good time to have a nurse. Katie Taylor is doing an outstanding job. I don't think you can rattle her. Jessica came and cried, but the joke is, you can't rattle Katie. She stays calm, she doesn't show emotion, and she takes care of who's quarantined and who's at school. I have no say in that, and I'm letting her do her job. My job's the academic and discipline side, her side is the health protocol side. She tells me who's going home, she tells me when they're coming back. But every day, she does a spreadsheet at the end of the day that she shares with me and Dr. Satterfield and Ms. Stricker, and we know what kids are on, we call it the DL, distance learning. And distance learning, and like I had some sent home today because somebody got sick at your school because they're siblings, which I think is a smart and wise thing to do. But I can look at that child and say, don't worry about it. We're not counting you absent. You continue on with your Google Classroom just as though you were here. If you have any questions, you email your teacher directly. If you don't get an answer, you email me. Now, I've got one student that's a sophomore that has decided to email me every day. I'm advocating for him, and I've got to wean him off. I've got to tell him, look, you gotta go to the teachers. You can't keep coming to me for this. But I do like it. I thought it was cute. We have, I think at the end of the day today, I have 12 students on DL. That's the most I've had. I've had one small classroom that got shut down for 2 weeks, I think. It was an isolated, and that's the only room that is isolated. And maybe it was because we might have had too many in there. I'm not sure, but they're back at school, all's going well. I do have a couple of teachers that are quarantined, but they're teaching from home. And I've asked him, I said, now if you're sick and you're not, you know, you can't do your job, then that's fine. But if you can do your job, we want you to continue. And one of them called school all day today. He goes, tell my 4th block class to get on Google Meet. Tell my 3rd block class to get on Google Meet at this time. And he could actually meet with the classroom from home. The hybrid schedule, I thought Dr. Satterfield was crazy when he brought it up in June. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going, are you serious? We're gonna do this? Right now, I feel like we are probably one of the top districts in the state on the education we're giving our kids right now, because we were proactive, and he made us plan this summer. And after I got into the planning process, I'm a big supporter of this. 2 days a week is so much better than no days a week. I lived from March to May. I don't want to do that again. I have never felt so insecure and so lacking of providing the education to those kids when we shut down in March till May. But right now, you know, they can come in with their questions 2 days a week. They can see a teacher face-to-face 2 days a week. They can get on the board and work problems. And then Google Classroom, I know it's working better in the high school than the other 2 schools. They're able to handle the technology. But right now, I feel good about it. Small class size. And Caleb and Heath are gonna speak to that and tell you what their perception of the hybrid model is. They're my 2 senior representatives. This is Cooper Helson and this is Heath Chase, and they're going to talk to you in a minute about other things going on at our school. Mid-9 weeks was sent home, but it wasn't sent home. What I tell you, Dr. Satterfield?
You mailed it though.
Yeah, because they are not taking it home. If I had some of their grades, I would take it home. So we kind of got sly and we mailed them this time. So just in case if the parents didn't see it, maybe the kids didn't get to the mail first. I don't blame them, they're smart. Teachers are allowing students to redo work, retake tests, turn in the assignment again. They have every opportunity to redo. But now they're gonna put the 0 up there if it's not done at the designated time. But that 0 can be changed anytime that child wants to submit their work. Let's see where I am. Virtual school. That's a challenge. I don't have a teacher assigned, I can't in high school. They have 6 or 8 different subjects. So my high school teachers are having to do the virtual side, they're having to do the hybrid side, and they may have to deal with their own children at home doing all this. And they are stressed, and we're doing everything we can to help them. And Ms. Stricker, my new assistant principal, has been awesome in the assistance that she's given my teachers on Google Classroom, because she's used Google Classroom for years. We talked to some kids, you know, just out in the hall and grabbed who we could talk to, and they told us an issue for them was, we can't keep up with when everything's due. And I go, well, what do you mean? And they were saying some stuff was due at 3, some stuff was due at 6, some stuff was due at 8 a.m. So we went back and said, hey, y'all can't do this. We've got to get a uniform time. And I think they've come up with a uniform time per department, kind of. It might be 11:59. And it depends, you know, but the kids know that now, and that's made it easier. We came up with the assignment page. Because if you're in a double block class, that means you meet 5 days a week. You're going to have 5 assignments. You can look on Monday morning on your teacher's website or on your Google Classroom, and that's going to be on there. If you are in an every other day class, then you're going to have 3 assignments a week. And I think they've gotten into the routine and they know what to expect now. Back to virtual school, I had 54 in the beginning. I have 39 now. Several have asked to return to school, and I'm in the position that I can gladly take them back to school. We want them back in school with us. I only have 3 seniors on virtual, and their pass rate is amazing. It's 100%. They're doing, those 3 seniors, for whatever reason they chose, and I'm sure it was a good one that their parents and them chose to go virtual, they're doing awesome. I have 13 juniors. 85% of them are doing amazing. So that means 2 need a little help. 10th grade, I have 11. 63% are passing. So 37%, we're having to give a little help we gotta work on. Freshmen, I have 11 freshmen. The pass rate's only 45%. So we sat down and we looked at these percentages and we had a conversation today. What does that tell you from what I'm giving you on those percentages? For the older they are, the more they can handle the independent learning. The younger they are, the more challenge it is. Now, we'll be able to up that rate in the 9th grade, but it's gonna take some time. It's like she said, we're gonna have to teach them study habits. We're gonna have to teach them organization. They've never been in my building. They're 8th graders I've never met except at registration. So I wish they were in my building, and maybe if we go back full-time, they will be in my building. We are having our parent training on Tuesday, September 29th. Now, parents don't come to the high school as much. The kids like to handle it themselves. But we would love to show the parents key things they could look for. Parents use PowerSchool, and that just thrills my soul, that parents get on PowerSchool and they look at their kids' grades and their kids' absences. Attendance is amazing right now. My attendance is less than 10 kids per day. They're there. They're either DL or they're in my building doing their assignments. Discipline, I've not used after school yet. I've had a couple of teachers to threaten it, but then they got their work in. And the only reason I'm gonna give them after school is to catch them up. You know, let them do their assignments they were missing. I think we disciplined a little bit, but then ended up didn't give any punishment. We just had to talk with them and they understood what was wrong. But that's been nice and frees me up to do the things I like to do, which is the academic side. But attendance is great, discipline's good, no bus problems. Those kids wear those masks, and I can't be more proud of them. The only thing I say to a kid is, put it up over your nose. Put it all the way up over your nose. That's the only thing I have to say to them. If they walk in with their shirt up over their nose, they've all forgotten my mask. And I'm going, that's fine, we have masks. We'll give them out every day. That's not an issue. My transition time between classes is 2 minutes. Because they don't have a locker. They don't go to the restroom during that break of transition because we don't want the restroom to fill up with people. I think we're healthy because of these protocols. They eat lunch in the classroom. No, that's not fun, but they do get to have their cell phones out and interact for that 30 minutes. But they seem to be resilient for this. I'm not getting a lot of complaints from the students. Teachers, they're working hard, and that Wednesday is everything to my teachers. That Wednesday to do their Google Meets, do their videos, do their planning, contact parents, contact students, and we allow a child that has an IEP to come in on Wednesday, and I wish you could see how much good is being done. I have 4 special ed teachers devoted to Wednesdays, and all they do all day is help those students. And they've gotten a lot of them all the way up to passing everything now. And students with IEP, they have a learning difficulty. It's hard, but they're making it with this help on Wednesday. So they come 3 days a week. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Nickerson.
Shoot call.
She may not know they're here.
Our student representatives are here. Okay.
I heard that they are there, so, I guess at this time, we'll call on our school board representative. If y'all will introduce them again, I don't know if I know he, but I didn't catch the name of the other student.
Cooper Helson, and he's going to introduce himself and tell you who his parents are.
All right.
My parents are Emily Helson and Jamie Helson.
Got it. See, us old people, remember you have to do that. Who your parents are, where you coming from. That's
You might need grandparents too.
I told you.
I have got you now, Cooper, I know exactly who you are. So go ahead.
Good royal
Sir, we're
boy.
glad to
Yeah.
have you.
That's right.
The football homecoming will be the week of September 25th. And the candidates for that were Hannah Haley, Kinley Brown, and Rebecca Chapman. Picture week for seniors and underclassmen will be the week of September 28th. As Ms. Dickerson mentioned before, the progress reports went out. The end of the first 9 weeks will be October 2nd. Davey Cawthorn was hired as our new baseball coach, and he's going to do fantastic. I played 3 years with him before. And the senior ACT will be October 6th.
And we will have every senior in the building that day.
Any questions?
Ms. Dickerson, how do you plan on doing that?
We'll have it in different rooms, and there'll be, well, the ACT, you have to be so far apart anyway. So we'll use the auditorium, we'll set up the gym, and if we need to spill over into the cafeteria dining, and it'll be from 8 till about 11:30, and we'll serve them breakfast and lunch, and then if it's not their learn at school day, they'll be able to leave, and then the rest will go back to class.
Okay. All right. Is that all for Cooper, or are we on, with?
Are we ready for Heath?
Heath?
I thought Cooper was gonna tell us about how he likes.
Oh, yeah,
the
Cooper,
school
tell us
schedule.
what you think about the hybrid.
So far, it's not been a problem for me. Get my work done when I need to get it done, and do what I want to the rest of the day, really. Talking to the other students, I've noticed a lot of them want to go back to the full-time schedule, but they understand the situation that we're in. And as far as the teachers, I can't really talk about that, I don't really know. But for the students, they want to go back full-time, but they understand.
Thank you.
My name's Heath Chassie. My parents are Ryan and Tina Chassie. I'm going to touch on the student experience with the hybrid schedule. In my own experience, right now I have some of the best grades that I've ever had throughout high school, and that's with making straight A's all 4 years. I'm still maintaining that high average. Some of the things that I struggled with at first was the due dates, which Ms. Dickerson touched on, and they were confusing, but we got that all figured out. With my physics and biology class, those are my B-Day classes, which I go to on Thursdays. The work's due the next Tuesday, so we have Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday to do that work. And then my Monday classes, they're normally due on Thursday or Friday. As far as other students go, that, like you said, they're wanting to go back to the 5-day schedule, but we see where if we go back to that 5-day schedule and we have an outbreak, we're going to be stuck at home with no days to go to school. And those 2 days a week help tremendously with getting teachers' feedback. I don't know how many of you have ever taken a college class, but being online and not being able to be in contact with that college teacher, it's hard to do. You have to wait on an email, and it could take 2 to 3 hours. It could take 2 to 3 days for them to get back to you. So going those 2 days a week are a huge asset to us. So I would rather stay on the hybrid schedule and be guaranteed 2 days in class than no days in class. As far as submitting work, a lot of students are doing the work, some of them forget to submit it, or they don't know what to do themselves. Getting in a routine of things. So my routine is on the days that I'm not in school, I have to wake up at a decent time to get all that work done in a certain amount of time. And I'm in the math science program, which is the more harder classes your senior year. And that's a lot of work to do. And so we talked with our teachers and they cut back down those assignments. Ms. Dickerson said 3 assignments for the single block classes, and then for the double block classes, having 5 assignments. And that's the biggest thing with other students. Like me and Cooper, we're getting our work done. We've got some students who struggle when they're in school to get their work done. So they're definitely going to struggle when they're not at school getting their work done. And that comes down to the parents having access to the group classroom. And I mean, like myself, I have fellow football players that they need the extra help to get their work done. I've been there for them, helping them get their work done. They come from the other students wanting to help one another. The teachers have been very helpful with sending videos of them doing instructional things for us to watch while we're at home and not in person. time management, allotting those times per day. And then the only really big thing about the hybrid thing is the missing the social interaction, you know, getting to be with your friends and stuff. Like she said, we have 2 minutes to get to class. We can't use the restroom or anything, talk to friends or whatever. But when we're in class and we're needing to do group work, we're wearing the mask, there's no issue. I'd rather go 2 days a week, wear a mask while I'm with people than to go 5 days a week and wear a mask 24/7. We've been in here, what, an hour or so, and it's hot.
I think that's why y'all clear the hall so fast, so they can take their mask off.
Yes. Other than that, I think that's all I've got. Have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do have, well, not a question, but I have a comment. I appreciate y'all coming. Y'all did a very good job. And it's kind of hard to talk in front of people you're not used to. I know how that is, and it is for me as well, because I'm just like y'all, but I do appreciate it. And so, Connor, do you feel like that the 2 days a week is meeting your needs with your classes you're currently taking?
Yes, ma'am.
I do appreciate it. I think y'all did an excellent job.
That's why
Very
we
good,
have
yes.
to.
Welcome, guys.
And they'll come back every month.
All right, are we ready to move on then with our COVID health report at this time? Is Ms. Kathy with us this evening?
I'm here.
Come on up here.
There she is.
I'm good, I'm good.
Thank you, ma'am.
I got several things I want to share with y'all tonight. Make sure I didn't get y'all mine. I'm like heat, it's hot in here. And now my glasses. So, I'll do the best I can. I only put them on when I have to. The first thing I wanted to show you is, one of the things when we got started school, the nurses really wanted something they could give the parents. And so we came up with a little check sheet that lets the parents know exactly what's going on, why there's something, why they were called, why they're gonna pick their child up. And this way they know what to anticipate that's gonna happen. And each one of the nurses has this, and they had it made things so much easier with our parents, where they could actually tell them, you know, have it written down too, you know, you come and you pick your child up, and you're thinking, oh my Lord, what's happened? And that way they had something they could go back and refer to. So we came up with that, and it's been working really well. And the second thing in your folder is our, I'm not gonna say the word right, let's say our health protocol. This is the decision-making that we do as we work with our students. It tells you exactly, it's kind of like a decision chart where you say, well, I'm gonna eat lunch here, what do I want? If you want something that's fast food, you go this way. If you want something else, you go down. That's kind of how this is. You just follow it along. And it tells you exactly what you need to tell the parents. This is the official Tennessee Department of Health protocol that we've been given. We do follow it. I will tell you that some school systems are not following this. And we find that out as we talk to doctors' offices. They say, well, we don't understand why you're doing that. They said this to Elizabeth a couple weeks ago. We don't know why you're doing that. We've not even heard anything about that. So Elizabeth, being the efficient person she is, she faxed it to them so they have a copy of it. So that's how it's not a nurse making the decision, it's actually the algorithm that's making the decision. The next thing, you heard a whole lot about the spreadsheet that the principals were talking about. And this is our spreadsheet that we use. We created that so we could track everything. It works really great for us. I get a copy of it, the principals do, at the end of the day, and Dr. Satfield. And it allows us to see and look at trends. You can kind of see what's going on and who's had contact with who and that kind of thing. And then I look at it to compare as far as make sure we're catching all the siblings and things like that when you look between the different schools. Okay, the next chart I told you, Mr. Pearl, that I had the numbers for you, and the next chart is our numbers. And this is just, in brief, a way to look at, one of the things that you're gonna see is, or you may find out if you're like me and you add columns up. If you look under the main row at the top, and if you add the columns down, they don't necessarily match. And I went to my nurses and I said, now why doesn't this match? And they had to explain to me that everybody hasn't returned to school that was in one of these categories. So that's why the numbers don't match. So don't think that we made a mistake exactly. We were just, I had to ask too, because I didn't know what it meant. I wanted y'all to know. One of the things too you may have a question about, I wrote myself a note. You may think, well, there's only so many confirmed cases, how come all these kids are at home? And one of the decisions that a parent makes, they can go to the doctor, they can go get a test for their child, or they can just take the quarantine and stay home. And some of them decide not to do the first two, but to just take the quarantine. We don't tell people they have to take a test. That's their decision. We don't tell them they have to go to the doctor. But, they do have to follow the state of Tennessee Department of Health guidelines for quarantining. And if you look at this previous, let me pull it back up. This right here at the very top, it tells you what the symptoms are. And it tells you what there's like level 1 and level 2 types of symptoms. If you have one that's in red, then that's a bad thing. If you have 2 of the ones in blue, then that's a qualifier too. So if you just have a runny nose, you don't get sent home. But if you have a runny nose and you have a sore throat, then that's going to tag you. So that's how that's decided. I forgot to tell you that. Does anybody have any questions about the chart or anything that you see this far? Another thing that I found out yesterday, and I wanted to share with you, I was looking at the numbers for our county and the counties surrounding us. So you have 5 pages that are all with graphs and blue and everything that show you about the counties in our area. What's going on in Macon, Smith, Trousdale, Sumner, and Wilson. And one of the things I want to point out, and I didn't know what it meant, and I had to look it up. If you look at the bottom of one of these pages, you see the first one, let's see, first one is Wilson that I have. It may not be the first one y'all have. But at the bottom, there's a yellow strip. That means that according to the White House Task Force Committee, that county is in caution. So there's something going on there. If you flip back, you'll have one that's in red. If you look at Smith County, theirs is red. And that actually means that there's really a whole lot going in Smith County at this time. Back behind those sheets is a map of Tennessee, and it shows all of the counties in Tennessee. And if you look at it, the white counties are the good ones that are doing good. And so if you look at our map, and you look at Trousdale in the middle, that white little piece of white in the middle of those other counties, that shows you how good we're doing here with our numbers. One of the things that I would say is in Trousdale County, and in a lot of smaller counties, the school is the center of the community. So we're an important part of our community and what goes on here. That's one thing everybody feels attached to. There's a whole lot of jackets in Trousdale County, and that's one example of how you can see the school and the feelings the community has. Because we are so important, I think it's important to look at what's going on in Trousdale County and the fact that we have gotten down to a good level right now, and we want to stay there instead of being one of those counties in yellow or red. Didn't I have any questions for me? they also, the green, the bright green, which is usually my favorite color that I put something on, it has the data from the charts, from the 5 things. It puts it into, perspective when you can look at, you know, when you compare the daily rates and that kind of thing as to where Trousdale County is. And Ms. Dickerson said something about her attendance. And so, I had looked up attendance before I came tonight too. Because attendance is something I keep up with because it's very important to food service. And so I always, every month I have to look at that. TCES's attendance for last month was 97.6%. Jim Satterfield was 94.6, and TCHS was 97.6. Those numbers are excellent, aren't they, guys?
Yeah, we don't see that.
Yeah, you don't see that. So, the kids are coming to school, and even with us sending kids home, we still have high attendance. I think that's important to know too. Anybody else have any questions?
Can you still there? Wait, I can't hear you. Wait a minute.
Listen, I got it off on mute. If you could snag me a copy of Kathy's,
I have a copy.
pick those up sometime.
Yeah, we can scan them.
She has a
Send
copy.
them to you.
Yes, go ahead, email it to me. I'd love to see that.
That's why I had an extra one,
I
because
got
That's
you.
good information.
Yes. All right.
All right. Well, we are moving on then to our director's report.
Okay, I was gonna try to open up the employment notifications. Oh man, I feel the pressure, because I can see them from here. Whoa, this is tough. Okay, here we go. We've hired 2 after-school student apprentices, Kylie Durham and Kara White. They're already working, right, Kathy, and doing a swell job?
No, sir, we hadn't started them yet because of drug tests and.
Oh, okay. They have not started yet, but I'm sure they'll do a swell job when they get started, right?
Yeah, they will. They were excellent. In fact, one of those students was the best student I ever interviewed.
Last month, you created a maintenance worker position. We have hired Mr. Tim Wilson to do that job, and he is already working. We have also hired Ms. Macy Hawkins as the social worker at the middle school. And that is working out.
Is that grant we got a year ago?
No, it's another name for a guidance teacher.
Oh.
So she's a social worker, that's her degree, so we're calling her a social worker. For the academic goals and updates, let me get to that. I think you have in front of you, the state released graduation rates today. And I'm trying to do several things here at one time.
Cooper will hold the phone for you.
Yeah, there you go, Cooper, do that. Put you right to work.
You got promoted.
Okay, as you see, the state graduation rate had dropped a little bit from like 89.7 to 89.6 this year. And you can see that Trousdale County's graduation rate was well above that at 97.6. And actually, if you count that down, then out of 147 school districts in Tennessee, Trousdale County rated number 11, ranked number 11 out of the state. So our mission statement is to accelerate and graduate all students. And Ms. Dickerson, congratulations to you and your staff for meeting that objective once again. So thank you for that work. Another thing that we spoke about a little bit the other night at the work session was that we are conducting a math student engagement study. One of the things that you have heard our principals and students talk about is we always have had engagement challenges with students, certain groups of students. that is kind of, seems to be more prevalent in a remote or virtual setting sometime. And then also, Google Classroom sometimes is a little bit harder to do the math part than the reading or ELA. So we are working with our 5th grade, 8th grade, and high school math departments. Each one of them have identified a problem or practice, or they have some hypotheses about what can improve student engagement. And the elementary school is studying the impact of teacher-made videos. The middle school is studying multiple feedback opportunities for students where they do peer feedback with one another. And then the high school is working on self-regulation practices and note-taking. So we'll be interested to see what we learn from that study that'll be conducted over the next 4 weeks. The next thing is that we are working with our teachers. You've heard our principals talk about the challenges that teachers have teaching in an in-person and both in a remote setting. And the remote setting is the most difficult because that's where we haven't had a lot of practice. However, I think you've heard some things, I have this evening, that some students do really well in remote settings. So it has a place in education, and I can see it having a place more in education long after COVID is eradicated. But we're going to provide our teachers with some professional development opportunities over the next month on those Wednesdays for just 2-hour blocks that we're going to work with them on. We've contracted with NIAT to provide virtual instructional strategies, training, and also the alignment of our power indicators such as student work, feedback to students, standards and objectives, and how teachers can align themselves in those indicators to remote instruction, how they can support that. I think you've heard our principals talk about virtual school. Presently, we have 164 students in virtual school. We were about 250 when that kicked off. And I think you've heard our principals talk about families have started, for one reason or the other, to return back to face-to-face instruction. We have 94. The most of our virtual school students are at the elementary school. There's 94. Middle school, I think, I had 30. Mr. McCall, I think, said 29, but that can change from day to day as well. High school, about 40, 39 or 40. Another thing that's important about enrollment is I think this is really important. This is the first week that I've really got into this because we wanted things to settle down a little bit. But our enrollment today was 1,383 students. This time last year, it was 1,381. So we have 2 more students than we had at this time last year. And in the midst of a pandemic, and parents having uncertainty about what type of program is best for them, I think that's a good indicator for us. We have talked about trying to get the Chromebooks for the 4th and 5th grade in particular. I wanted to check on that again today, and my team says no definite answer to date. So we said, Dr. Sacker, we don't have a guarantee. We were told the week of September the 21st, that is next week. My team is not putting any stock in that right now. And as we talked about, we ordered the Chromebooks on the very first day that we could, which was July the 1, which was the beginning of the fiscal year, and that's the day that the grant took place. So we have done all that we can do. Also, FYI, new board members, we're trying to order you an iPad, and they are on back order as well. So we're doing the best we can. Trying to find mobile devices in this day and time is tough, but I'm sure you give your Apple iPad up for student Chromebooks anytime, but we'll see which ones come in first. You've heard everybody talk about our learn from home days are a challenge, and this is places where we are trying to make our weaknesses our strengths. Our principals report that we're making progress every day. The learn from home, we're getting better at it. We still have places to get better. I think I've heard today a lot of times that we talk about the disadvantages of not having in-person learning. But I think some things that I heard this evening was there is some advantages of having small class size. I think I've heard like hardly no discipline issues. Student engagement is stronger. The time on task is greater, where we're not disciplining students and correcting students. So the students that we have, even though they're not there 5 days a week, the time that they have is rich. And I think there's something to be weighed, and there's a counterbalance between what we're doing now and traditional instruction. There's some trade-offs either way that you go. I know that one of the things that our principals, and only I can put it this way, that our principals are trying to tell you is that we're trying to sort students about the difference between the I can do students, but I don't want to, and the I can't students. And so we're really trying to leverage the students that can, but won't, or they can't. And that leads into one of the reasons why that we want to develop those Google Classroom trainings for parents, is because there's some that want to, but they can't, and we need to help them. And I think Mr. McCall said it well, that we couldn't have done this at the first day of school because we were still trying to learn how to make assignments. And there's things in that platform that we've learned and we've become more efficient that we can share with parents that they can help students going forward. I know you'll discuss, and we can, definitely we'll discuss that later, but our reopening planning and our hybrid model, one of the things that I've talked to the board from the beginning, that, I would strongly recommend that we do this by semester, but I'm sure that we'll talk about that. And we're monitoring our effectiveness and our infection rates as we go along. And if there's some data that makes us want to change one way or the other. Some things that I have heard that our staff and student illnesses are quite low. I'm concerned about the impact of flu season. Kathy didn't talk to you. She has a plan for, trying to, we can't make staff and students take flu shots, but we're going to provide them with as much opportunity that they can get those at school.
And we will have them done before fall break, so that hopefully they can start taking effect before everybody goes on vacation.
If and when we go back full-time, and we talked about this a little bit the other night, that there'll be drastic changes to virtual school. Don't know exactly what that would look like, but there is no way that our teachers in grades 6 through 12 can provide the virtual school experience when they're teaching every day, every block. So there would have to be a solution to that. There are some solutions, don't hear that there's not, but there would have to be some changes to that. And as I've talked to the board and the public, is for me, there's been 3 benchmarks that we wanted to get to. The first one was Labor Day. We did that without closure. everybody's should be commended for that. The next one we're working toward is fall break. And I don't want to say hopefully, but we may be getting into flu season then. I don't know. And see what the data looks like as we get into flu season. And then getting in safely into, if we could get the Thanksgiving break, and I think we would have more information to make an informed decision. I didn't hear anybody, well, Ms. Gibson did a little bit, talk about the K-5 Wednesday and the impact that that's helping students like your students with disabilities coming. I think I heard in the principal's meeting the other day that that's giving those students another shot, another opportunity, another level of support. And some students, even though it's voluntary, some students are really taking good advantage of that. Our electronic library that you purchased last month, our final day of training is Monday, and that should be kicked off, ready to go, beginning on Tuesday. That feel right? Okay. And then our athletic game procedures, you know, we are limiting we're doing what the rules tell us to do. Governor Lee's executive order was you could play sports if you go by the TSSAA regulations. We have tried to go by those regulations at every opportunity. Now, I admit we go to some places and they don't seem to be taking them as serious as we do. But I can tell you this, when I look at their county data too, it doesn't look as well as ours as well. So something is going on there. I cannot say enough about be smart, stay 6 foot apart. When you can't, wear a mask. I think that's huge. Mr. McCall talked about the middle school roof. The places where we're having the most leaks around that central office area, Mr. Kerr, is the place that we're addressing first. So we're trying to get that under roof as soon as we can so that Mr. McCall doesn't lose another copier. It looked like a waterfall when he opened it up. So he's got a video of that. He'd be glad to show you sometime. I didn't need to see it but once. Not a pretty sight. So we want to get that under roof as quickly as possible. Last thing is the health and safety end on my end, that I know that Kathy is working on a parent information flyer. You know, CDC guidance changes by the week. And one of the things that they're now telling us, and I don't want, you know, I've got some parents in the room, you know, I don't want to send a mixed message here, but CDC is saying now that the temperature screens are not much at school. The best thing that we can do is if parents would temperature screen their child at home, and then if they have a temperature, is to keep them at home and never start to send them to school would be the best thing. We're going to try to get some of that information out in the coming days. Kathy talked about flu vaccinations a minute ago. And, you know, again, the places our nurses continue to tell us are the hot spots, what we're doing in school is working, and it's working well. But, you know, they tell me when we contact trace, there's 2 places that's going to nip you in the bud, and that's on a school bus and your extracurricular activities. So those are the things that we've got to watch the most. So, Madam Chairman, that's my report. Unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Dr. Satterfield at this point? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Thank you guys for your reports. So we move down to new business. And the first.
Oh, no. David Cothran's calling me. Look here. He cut off my board chair. Okay, hold on. I've lost you now. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, well, David Cothran was trying to call in. We'll get done and see what he wants. Okay, here you go.
All right, let's get into this. First item is election of our chairman or officers of sorts. So, for our board chairman.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Kirk.
Did you hear that?
I did.
Okay.
Nomination for Mr. Kirk for board chairman that's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll say.
All right. Then all in favor for Mr. Hurd being board chairman for the school year 2021, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? So carries. All right, then we got our vice chair for this school year 2021 as well. If I have a nomination for vice chair.
I'll nominate Ms. Waller.
Okay, Mr. Kerr, nominates Ms. Waller. Is there a second?
I'll say that.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Crook. All in favor say aye.
Okay.
Aye. All opposed? Right, so carries. And then our pro tem is like our third, in charge. If our chairman can't be there, our vice chair can't be there, our pro tem steps in to take over those duties and responsibilities. Do I have a motion or nomination for a pro tem?
I'll nominate Mr. Crook.
And I will second that motion.
Ms. Towns wanted to second that.
Well, Ms. Towns, I'm gonna let you second it.
Okay. So the motion was by Ms. Waller, and the
No, the
second was
motion
Ms.
was by Mr. Kerr. And
Okay,
seconded
okay.
by Ms. Towns
All right. Gotcha.
for Mr. Crook. And all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? So carries. So we got our officers basically for our next school year. So, our next one, that takes us down to 7D, which is our TSBA delegate assembly members. And this is what I was talking about the other night. It's such a learning process to be a part of lawmaking, and TSBA does a lot of work. And, you actually get to go in and cast votes for what you would like to see put up before our legislatures. And, so I think it's a great experience. And, but we are 10 people that would represent us.
And two that would go to the convention,
I'm sorry, Dr. Satterfield?
and two that would, commit to going to the convention.
Right, right. So that committee convention.
It may be virtual, we don't know.
I know, so that'd be November. But it is a great experience. So do I have a nomination of two of our members that would be like to be delegate assembly members?
We gotta have two. Oh, yeah, I agree. I nominate Mr. Crook and Ms. Towns.
Mr. Crook and Ms. Towns. I'll second that nomination. Do we, all in favor say aye? All opposed? So carries. All right, and then we have a county commission education representative. Again, Mr. Kerr's done that in the past, and, I don't know how you feel about that, Mr. Kerr, but you've done a good job.
Let me explain to Jason what it is. About 4 times a year, the county commission has an education committee. They run on the committee system, and it meets about 4 times a year, depending upon, it's up to the chairman to, whenever something's going on. And what you would do is you would represent the school board at that meeting.
Sure.
Okay, and Dr. Satterfield usually goes, and I usually go. So I nominate, Mr. Sullivan to be, what's it called? County Commission Education Committee Representative.
All right. Mr. Sullivan has a nomination, a motion. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Crook, second. All in favor say aye. All opposed? So carries. So Mr. Sullivan will be our education representative. I think you guys, everybody will learn lots from those positions that we just elected. So thank you guys for, getting that taken care of. So now that is we
No,
did
no,
do
no.
that first.
Ms. Waller, you know, we sent out a text this morning and we added the resolution.
Okay, so that's not on mine. I didn't write it on mine.
Right, okay, so, let me see, let me look at, so, 7F is a resolution in support of a moratorium on state accountability for the 2021 school year. Representative Weaver talked to me on Wednesday that, they are starting to have some committee meetings at the state legislature, and she said it would really be helpful if she had a resolution from each school board, and that would help our case a great deal. So she is encouraging that, I mean, if the board sees it fitting to pass this resolution.
Right.
And the key component of it is on the second page, and everybody has a copy of that. And it reads that the Trowster County Board of Education supports and respectfully request a moratorium on state accountability associated with the state standardized testing for the 2021 school year. The Trowster County Board of Education requests that if state standardized testing continues, the results of that testing be used as metrics of student progress rather than to determine district and school accountability, as well as a component of the teacher accountability due to the disparity in reopening models across Tennessee, intermittent and long-term school closures, and the vast time out of schools due to student and teacher quarantine.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
Jason, you don't understand what,
Yeah, I read it this morning.
Okay.
it basically wouldn't be fair to hold our teachers accountable with
I
kids.
think it would be a good tool to have, though, be the information, see where your kids are at.
And that's what we're saying is that we are fine with the assessment, but it's the accountability that we're asking for a moratorium on.
I agree.
I agree with that as well. So, do we have a motion in support of this resolution?
I make the motion to support it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Towns makes a motion and a second.
I'll second.
All right, that was Jason. Mr. Sullivan, seconds, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? So carries.
And Ms. Wall, Ms. Wall, I have a clean copy of that here, and I would like for each board member to sign it before you leave, so that I can scan it and get it to Representative Weaver.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so now we're bringing down the approved elementary school roof service agreement from 2AA out of consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and, we brought that out, and I'm sure maybe somebody has some questions or discussion about that.
I think if Mr. Satterfield explains it again,
Okay.
just catch us all up on what we're doing.
Okay, what this started with, and maybe that's why David's trying to call, he can explain it better than I. But, this weekend, I was getting numerous fire alarm calls from dispatch. And after the third time of going up there, I just told the police, I said, look, I can't do anything about it, it's on the weekend. It had to be a lightning strike, and they said, well, Coach, I don't know if you know this, but every 5 seconds, we get another phone call. I said, oh gosh, we gotta do something. So I called David, and he actually called the fire alarm company, and they walked him through about 11 o'clock Saturday night of how to disable the fire alarm. We called them to do a service call on Sunday. And to my surprise, it was a duct detector in a fourth grade classroom, and the ceiling tile was soaking wet, but the water was in the duct detector, and it had made an electronic connection because of the leaking. I don't know how anybody could ever found that. You know what I'm saying? But I looked at David, I said, David, we just got all kinds of leaks. He said, well, I've been meaning to tell you, but it got down to COVID, you know, before COVID hit, that I have been working with Rackley Roofing about addressing the problems that we're having in the roof, because it's over 20 years old. And it's put together by screws. It's not the standing seam roof that you're putting on at the middle school. We'll be sure you hear that. There's a different technology nowadays. But Rackley Roofing says if you'll do these upgrades, these things that you need fixed, you spend $5,700, then we will give you a warranty for $2,400 for the next 3 years, or $2,400 a year. But David said every time I call Rackley Roofing, it's $1,600 or better. So 2 service calls will pay for that service contract. So what I'm asking the board to do is all contracts have to be approved by the board, is we're asking the board to approve the 3-year service contract in the amount of $2,400 a year. And you have that in front of you.
All right, any questions from any members? All right, then I would, ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the contract.
Motion made by Ms. Towns to approve. Is there a second?
I'll say.
All right, Mr. Kerr, I think that was seconds the motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Vote carries.
And I'm doing this by paper, okay? So. we'll give you-
Okay. All right, so that moves us to our next, item, which was just added this evening, which is, the open school after, or just to talk about the reopening of school, I suppose. And Mr. Sullivan, made that, motion to add that to the agenda. Mr. Sullivan, is there anything you want to speak to at this time, or how do y'all want to handle this?
I think it'd be good to hear from do we have some speakers that have signed in on for that?
We do. We have Ms. Kayla Ring and Mr. Chris Sexton.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I'd like to hear from both of them and before we go to a board meeting.
Was I on there first?
You were?
Alrighty then. I'm Kayla Ring. I have a son that's in the elementary school. Y'all be seeing a lot of me. I want to first let you know I appreciate everything that y'all do. Being a part of the education system and this board is not easy decisions, and I know that. I want to thank Miss Kathy for what she does putting together, what she's handed out to you, all of you, but I also want to point out that's not something that as a parent that I ever get to see. So I've done my own research, and I'd like to share with y'all some numbers that I have that I took time out of my day today while not only teaching my son at home, but working from home as well, okay? Due to COVID, and these are from the CDC website, due to COVID, the deaths have been 195,053. Out of that number, ages 5 to 17 are school age. Only 50 of those. That's 0.1% of those deaths were student ages. There's been 6.5 million that have got COVID. 308,000 of those were school age students. And that's 6.5% of everybody that actually has received COVID out of that 6.5 million. Those numbers have been declining since July 24. One thing I want to point out is we are white on that map, and praise the Lord for that. I think that's a wonderful thing. But I'll also point out we are one of the smallest counties that is on that map. So we should be white. And it shouldn't be as hard for us to get back in school and still be successful. Trousdale County has 1,643 cases. I'm going to say that does include the prison numbers. Less than 20 deaths. Macon County, which I covered 3 of the surrounding counties. I didn't have Wilson County. It's not one I covered. Macon County had 903, less than 20 deaths. Sumner County, 4,548, 92 deaths. Smith County, 634, less than 20 deaths. I called each of those schools and talked to their board. to better understand what they were doing, because obviously I know what we've chosen to do in our hybrid and the way that we function. Smith County, I talked to Tricia Oliver there. They did hybrid for 2 weeks, then went back full-time. They do not have a mask mandate. It is requested. You know, they would like for people to wear masks, but it is not a requirement. If you choose not to wear it, you don't have to, except when on the bus. They would not disclose to me how many number of cases that they've had or how many they've quarantined. She said it was a HIPAA situation. She obviously doesn't know what she's talking about because that's not a HIPAA situation, but I wasn't going to argue the point. I respect that. Sumner County did hybrid, and then 2 weeks after they did hybrid, they had kindergarten through 5th going full-time, so they kind of eased into going full-time. And then last week, they went from kindergarten to 12th grade, now going full-time, so their full system is now going full-time. They did not have a mask mandate. They stated from the beginning that 12 years or younger were not required. Any above that was requested, but it was not required. They're not going to make anybody wear a mask unless you're on the bus. They have had, throughout their 10 schools, 11 confirmed cases. Macon County never changed anything. They don't have a mask mandate. With that, they've quarantined several. They've had less than 5 that's actually been confirmed COVID, but they have quarantined several. I assume a lot of that, they said, was for contact tracing, so they're just being due diligent. If somebody come in, they had somebody in their home that had COVID, they went ahead and sent them home. If they come in contact with somebody over the weekend that had COVID, go ahead and go home. Do your quarantine. All of these, especially Macon County, really stood out to me because they're overcrowded. They can't do 6 feet, and they're not doing masks. And out of their 5 different schools, they've had less than 5 confirmed cases. I know mask is the next thing that we're going to talk about, so I'm not going to go any farther into that, but I am going to say that in regards to the way that we're doing the learning right now, it's always been a known across the board in school that kids learn differently. There's kids that are doers, there's kids that are seers. I'm one of those that I got to do it a couple times and then I'm on board, get out, let me do my thing because I can figure out my best way from there. That's the reason why you're having struggles on both sides of it. But I can tell you one of the biggest reasons why you're having struggles at home is because you're asking a parent to do a job that a teacher normally would do. Not saying that it is not that parent's job and position to fall in. Nobody expected COVID. And as I said in July at that meeting as well, before that decision was made, there was a lot of parents who were not going to be as blessed as I am, and I praise the Lord for my blessings. But there's a lot of parents that are not sitting at home with school-age kids that they need to be sitting at home with, that they need to be able to help them through their daily work. There's a lot of parents that aren't able to do that. And they're taking phone calls from their kids being frustrated and having their own little mental breakdown. And I think it's probably more along the lines of elementary and middle school. I commend both of you boys for what you're doing at home and that you're doing well. I think that that's great. And I think that that says a lot to how mature y'all are and how you're taking that upon yourself to do that. And I praise you for it, and I hope you continue to do it because we want every kid to be successful. I want everybody's child to be successful. And I will tell you, my child's doing all right. We have breakdown days. This morning, I just sent him back. I said, go back to your room, take 5 minutes, we reset and we start again. I sent my husband a text message asking him to pray for me. Parents are having quite a bit of struggle, so it only makes sense that y'all teachers are happy with this scenario. Y'all taking what y'all normally have, a full classroom, and cut it in half. Of course you get to do more one-on-one. Absolutely, you're appreciating that more, and they're not having as much disciplinary problem. Yeah, duh. There's half of your classroom there that you're going to have conflict with, but I'm going to tell you now, through that conflict, those children grow. So there's pluses and there's negatives to every bit of that. But in this particular scenario with these kids going hybrid, I'm going to be honest, it's been a lot of extra work on y'all in regards to keeping with the CDC guidelines. I've got my own little thought about CDC, and we can continue to stay with their guidelines, whether they switch and change every day and agree or don't agree with what they say from day to day. I think that's its own little thing, but believe it or not, this scenario is a little easier on the school system right now than it is the four walls that is what every child lives in and home and parents. Y'all are definitely doing more work. I think the teachers are definitely doing more work than they were before. But since they do have such a smaller classroom, I think it's easier. Y'all were born and bred and went to school to be teachers, to be educators. I did not. I've always praised and appreciated educators because it is not in me to walk in a kindergarten classroom and be able to handle 6 kids, let alone 20. It's not in me. I'm doing everything I can with my son at home. I talk to Miss Badru often. I keep in contact with my parents' teachers. But I feel heartbroken for the people who do not have the ability to do that. They can't be at home with their kids. They're taking the phone call of their 12 and 13-year-old and their Chrome, what is it, Classroom, Chrome or whatever, is shutting down on them. It's not working. Either their internet's failing or they went through it and can't figure out how to get back and they didn't answer something. Can you imagine trying to think about the things that are actually going on within these kids? Y'all are talking about accountability, teaching the kids and training them ways to be able to stay organized. I'm all for accountability, hope for what you should be doing, teaching the kids to be organized, absolutely. But between the school system and the parents, in between every bit of that child is taking every bit of that additional weight. And I don't think, when you say you're thinking about them kids, you're thinking about your staff, you ain't understanding what those kids are going through. Mentally, physically, each and every day. I've watched my son break down on me several times since, because I don't explain things the way that y'all do. I don't use the same words. I don't use the same verbiage, and I do every bit of communication that I can to be there for my son, to be his rock, because that's what I'm supposed to be. But he feels it. He feels it from school, from the changes that he can't go outside on the playground and play with his friend without a mask on his face. He feels it from Wednesday when he's got, a new teacher who's really helping him and who loves him and enjoys him. But like Wednesday is not, come in, let me help you, give you some additional enrichment. It's, hey, son, make sure when you go to school today, you get your Wednesday work done in as much as you can, because they're not going to push you to do it, but I need you to do it so our Thursday is livable. So you're not upset with me on Thursday. So I think there's a lot of good of what y'all are thinking about, but every bit of what you're lifting out is the parents and the weight that's being put on them kids in between the school when they get home until they come back. Because there's a lot of weight being put there that y'all putting absolutely no value to. And like I said before, there was a bunch of people who were not going to be able to either be there for their kids or they were going to lose their job. And if they lost their job, then they can't pay their rent, and then they got to find a new home. So it puts different stresses on different angles in different places. And I think there's a lot of things that need to be discussed in that regard, because based on these numbers that I see, it's worth the risk to send them kids back to school. It's worth the risk to be able to let them have some normality. And I know staffing is a problem. Hire back out, because I'm pretty sure there was a lot that were let go when all this came about. That's all I got to say in that. When we get to mask, I know my name's on there too.
Thank you for, Ms. Rainey. So does Mr. Sexton want to speak at this time?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This lady here just touched base on about 90% of what I was gonna talk about, so I'll keep it short and sweet to keep repeating what she just said. I am 100% in favor of going back 5 days a week. We tried the hybrid schedule. My opinion, it's not working. There's a few parents that couldn't make it tonight, so I'm gonna speak for them. It's not working for them either. I'm glad I got to hear all 3 principals talk, get feedback on some of the teachers. I understand that they're content. I understand that there are some students that's doing good with this hybrid schedule, but what about the students that not? What y'all's plan for that? Me personally, I don't want my child going to 8th grade if he can't make it through 7th. 2 days a week is not gonna cut it. It's just not. Last night, we're up till 9:30, 9:45 doing homework. Night before that, same scenario. Mr. McCall will tell you, of course, don't get me wrong, my child is lazy, he's hard-headed, but he'll also try. The 9:30 part is because he don't comprehend. Like she said, I'm not educated to teach it. That goes back to the teacher, the school. I'm all for it, 5 days a week. That's all I got, thank you.
And I'd actually like to add, I would love to see some reports in the decline or increase in grades. I would love to see a report. I would love to see any kind of report actually come to a parent. Get those reports put on the website so we see that y'all at least care to pay attention to those things. Because without me being here physically and taking the time that I did to do this, I wouldn't have known these numbers. I mean, I wouldn't have known that this existed. I know that you do this report. And I know that supposedly every 2 weeks y'all were supposed to reevaluate and look at things that, and I know those things change all the time. But I would love to see that report. I would love to see those statistics because I feel like you probably do a better search of it than I do because there's a reason why you're elected to do that. I think that would be something valuable to share with the parents and put it on the website. Send it home with the kids. Whatever you feel that you need to do to get that out, but that information is important. But I think the grades, I've heard from plenty of people who have AV students that are D's and failing now. I've heard that across the board from many parents, but granted, they're not here speaking, so I'll be working on them too.
Just for Ms. Ring's knowledge, this information is online through the Tennessee Department of Education website.
Yeah, but I got lost in that today.
Okay.
I spent as many
It's right
hours.
at the top, it just says dashboard, and you click on that and it'll go, you get all this.
Well, I promise you, I spent an hour on that website today.
Okay, I just
and
want you to, I didn't know if you were aware of it.
I couldn't find particular counties that I was looking for. So maybe that was my fault, because maybe I didn't know the way to, break it down to see which counties I was trying to look at. Because I was looking at specifically surrounding counties, because I feel like that makes more sense. But absolutely, yeah, if you just want to send me a link, Miss Kathy, I'd appreciate that too.
Okay, since this is on the agenda as an item, how do we need to move on from this item?
Can I speak just a minute, Ms. Waller?
It was Mr. Sullivan's idea, so I think we're to him now.
Okay.
Ms. Ring, I don't know you personally.
I voted for you.
Well, I appreciate it. And Mr. Sexton, we went to school together. I am the only one on this board who has a school-aged child. My child going 2 days a week is extremely hard. It's extremely hard on my marriage, because my wife constantly calls me upset because of trying to teach him at home and learn things at home. So y'all both hit on all the points that I wanted to hit on. 8 days a month isn't enough for my child. My hat's off to the school system. Y'all done a great job. But I do feel though it's time to make a move towards going back 5 days a week. I know we talk about, we do it then, we're gonna do it after the first of the year, whatever, I'm ready to try it. And everybody wants to tell me that, well, what if we have to close down? Let's cross that bridge when we get there. Because, what we're doing right now for so many is not working. And I do. These two boys are here. Y'all are way more mature than most. And y'all have handled it well and done well with it, but I'm afraid there's many more in there with you guys that aren't handling it so well. So I don't know when's the right time to do it. I'm new to this. but I do wanna make a motion to vote on it. And that's all I have to say.
Even if y'all can't consider doing kindergarten through 12 right off the rip, I mean, Wilson County's doing like K through 3 or K through 5 or, you know, a little at a time even and putting a couple weeks in between it so you can see and narrate how it's moving and if it seems to be beneficial, even phasing in the teachers who are okay with it, but it's gonna be an adjustment for them to get back into it, you know? Like, even if you don't wanna throw everybody back in one full swoop, can it not even be thought about a little at a time?
Madam Chairman, can,
I'd like to say something.
okay.
I can hear that, yeah, so I just, how do we, I guess Mr. Sullivan would have to make the motion.
I think Mr.
I'd like to speak.
Okay, Mr. Kirk, go right ahead.
Like, just so everybody will know, we have begun preliminary discussions on going back to school full-time. Nobody in the world, I don't think, thinks that this is the best learning opportunity for our kids. We said that in July. A lot of people didn't hear that, but nobody thinks this is the best. But it's the best option we had at that time, I thought. And that wasn't a unanimous vote. And like on anything, you vote for the plan that you think gives us the best options to be successful. And I would have to say that to date, this has been successful for what the things that we were looking to do. One of the things that, about going back, if you look at the sheet that she gave out with absences, if you add up the teacher absences, and it says employees, I don't know if that was all teachers or not, but there was 35 days that an employee was absent. I don't know how many of those would have been a teacher. Let's go on the low end, let's just say it was 10. It's probably more than that. That's 10, ever how long those people had to be out. That whole classroom would have been out the whole time. There's nobody to take those places. You heard Mr. McCall talk about it. So because that teacher's out, those 20, 25, depending on what grade level they are, those kids are out for that period of time. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
For that quarantine 14
For that-
days, but
whatever
they're
that-
only at school for
Or
8.
whatever that day
The
is.
rest of it, they're at home anyways.
I understand, I'm just saying, I'm not directing this to you, I'm just speaking in general, that classroom's closed. And so, you know, our speakers have done a great job of talking about how it affects the kids of Trousdale County, and I agree with every word you said. But we are also responsible for the employees of the Trousdale County school system. And we have to also take that into consideration also. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Right. Also, I think that it speaks volumes, you know, I agree, Mr. Kerr, with what you said, and, it speaks volumes that our teachers are willing to work harder to stay safer, and I do think that what they're doing is much, much harder than what, even though they have a smaller class size, I know that they're doing probably twice the work. That might be a little partial. But might be a little safer to say that, but I do think that their willingness to work harder to stay safer speaks volumes to me. And so, is there any other comments from the board? Any other board member like to comment? Okay.
The only other thing I'd like to remind everybody of is that we have, and we talked about this the other night, so I mean, it's not but we have to give our principals the opportunity, all these schedules have to be changed. All these bus routes may have to be redone. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of work. Some people, we do have to hire some people, but we didn't let a lot of people go like was stated earlier. That's not true.
But we do have to hire some people, and so you have to have that time for that. So
And that being the reason I said fall break and not, you know, I realize there has to be some time.
Yeah, I'd like to hear this, so what time would you propose in this motion to return to school?
I propose to start back after fall break. You know, I know it's gonna take some amount of time to get things ready. I mean, I don't realistically think that you're gonna start on Monday and it's gonna work. I mean, I realize there's some work to be done there.
So when is fall break?
Third week of October.
I know that's not ideal. I mean, a lot of us want to start back tomorrow.
Okay, so the motion, I guess, is return to school 5 days a week after fall break. Is that the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What would that date be, Mr. Satterfield?
October 26th.
October 26th.
So we would, have to have a second.
I think Ms. Towns wants to speak to it.
Okay, Ms. Ham.
I do want to speak. I think, and I think really, if everybody really spoke the truth or felt, or what they really felt, that everybody would agree that going back to school would be the best if we can keep those kids in school. You know, if we can, and we don't know. It's a trial and error thing. But we do know a few things. We know we don't have anybody to do virtual if we go back. I mean, you gotta get something, don't you? And that's gonna take a little bit of time. And you don't wanna lose your ground with your virtual kids. But once they go back to school full-time, your teachers are going to be full-time. So there's gonna have to be another, my only thinking, and I sat here in the planning meeting the other night, I think we need to go back, but I think it's gonna take a little bit of time, and maybe a little bit more than that. I mean, you can't turn around on a dime, and I'm not against the motion per se, but to think about all the things that has to be done. Now, we gotta get to working on them, somebody has to get it done, but I'm just saying, and I appreciate you all coming and speaking your views, and I don't disagree with anything anybody said. I don't have any children, my children are grown, but I have 5 grandchildren in school, and they would all be better off if they were in school 5 days a week. I do not have a doubt in my mind. But I'm not sure exactly whether that can be done in that winter time. So that's all I'm going to say.
At least we are close.
We are.
Jason's proposal is really just 3 weeks different from the one I proposed the other night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're pretty close.
We are. And I think.
There is, but like you said, you hit it, there is a huge time factor in there that we've gotta prepare for.
And I know everybody likes to start back Monday, all parents would.
We
And
would
kids
too.
would too, they love it. I mean, kids wanna go back to school. But I think if people think if we have a plan, not think, but if we have a plan and we're working toward a goal and people like Ms. Drew can say, okay, guys, we're gonna try to do it, then it's not like up in the air floating around. I think people will be very satisfied with it. I don't know. I don't know the right answer. If I did, I'd probably be something else besides what I am.
I think it was for a lot of us.
I do agree, we talked about the other night, that I feel like a lot of it is communication, and, I did lean towards more what Mr. Kerr, his proposal the other night that we talked about, which we could, bring out in our October meeting. I feel like maybe it could be firmer, have maybe some information to support that. Mr. Kerr, what do you think?
Well, the main key to Jason's proposal, like I said, we're just a few weeks apart.
Right.
One of the things I said the other night was, by suggesting that we come back the day after Thanksgiving, was we get us through flu, we get to see how flu season is. And we can see how, because that's what they keep talking about, how is that going to react with this virus and stuff, and we would have evidence of that thing. You know, I mean, even if no matter how this one goes, we could actually go ahead and set one of those tonight and have that much more time ahead, if, you know. But that was one of the key things that I had in there, because with the flu season part of it. And I think all the cleaning and stuff we're doing will help with the flu.
Oh, I do too. And the other protocols that we've got in place, I
Right.
think will help with our flu season as well. So, but the current motion on the floor is that to return to school full-time after fall break. And we have a motion, we would need a second. Okay. Hearing none, that motion would fail, for lack of a second. So we would move on into our next item that was added to our agenda this evening, was about the mask, mandate. Mr. Sullivan was speaking to changing the mask mandate, and, so, Mr. Sullivan, if we could turn that over to you.
I'd like to hear them speak first, please.
Our speakers first, okay?
I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who signed up for that one. Again, off the CDC website, because I know that's everything that y'all are going off of that and the health department. The things that they state on there about masks is masks may help prevent COVID to spread to others if you have it. Masks are most likely to reduce the spread if you're in public and wearing it. Their recommendation is to wear the mask to prevent droplets when you're coughing, sneezing, talking, or yelling. If you're just sitting there with your mouth closed, apparently you don't have to have a mask on. Doesn't make a difference. And people engaging in high-intensity activities like running, it's suggested not to wear a mask. It's suggested to be outside with greater ventilation. From talking to my son, when he's outside playing on the playground, unless he's 6 feet from his friends, he has to have a mask on. Whether he's running, whether he's climbing, whether he's jumping, whatever he's doing. And so I asked him, I said, well, do you wear your mask outside? Well, yeah, I can't play with my friends if I'm 6 feet from them. I think if CDC even says, if you're running, you're in intense activities, and I think any kid in elementary that's outside on the playground, they're gonna play pretty intensely, especially right now. They don't need to have a mask on their face when they're outside. Bus, I get it. Sitting in the classroom, well, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that one either, but.
We don't wear them in the classroom.
Well, they wear them up until they get in there and they get seated, and then, you know, they still wear it quite a bit in the building too when moving. That's all I got on the mask. I mean, the other one didn't pass, so it's almost pointless to talk about.
Well, it's not pointless to talk about it, and I'll tell you, here's my feelings on it. When it does go back, when we do go back, you know, everybody has their thoughts on the mask. You really don't want to hear my thoughts on the mask. I can assure you. But I will tell you this, I don't want to see my 5-year-old sitting in the classroom all day long with a mask on. So my thing was, you know, a lot of schools are making it completely voluntary. If you want to wear a mask, great. They urge you to do it. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. I understand we want to do things different in this county. That's fine. But I at least want these children, if they can go out here and practice sports with no mask on and do whatever they want to do with no mask on, and I understand that the TSSAA, it's their rules, you're following up their rules, well, this isn't anything to do with them, and we're not doing it. So, I mean, if we're gonna follow their rules on that one, because of sports, you know, we're not required to do what we're doing in this already. So what I mean, it's two completely different things, they're not tied together. These kids ought to be able to go outside and play, I feel like. When my children aren't at school, they're at daycare. They're in a pile with other kids. They're playing, they're jumping, they're running, they're doing everything, just like they're doing at the football field and any other sport. Whenever they're in their classroom, when they go back to school full time, I don't want to see them having to wear a mask in the classroom. You know, if y'all want them to wear a mask in the hallway or to the class, I'll live with that. If you want them to wear a mask on the bus, I'll live with that. But I want to see it changed. I'd like to see it changed for them going outside and playing. And I'd like to see it changed for them to not have to wear them in the classroom when we do go back and they're not able to socially distance. I'd like to see that as an option and not a demand. We live in America. Now, I don't know if both of those can be in one thing, but I'm new to this, but that's my feelings. And anybody else want to say anything?
I would, Ms. Waller. I think some of this may be, the playground may be procedural. And I would like to hear from Ms. Bedrew, because I know she and I have had some conversations about students on the playground actually holding hands. And we wanted to separate them further, and our policy is very clear that when students can maintain social distancing, they don't have to wear a mask. So I'm concerned about this might not be a policy issue as much as it is procedural, but you've seen your kids on the playground more than anyone, so I think you should address this, ma'am.
Our kids do wear a mask when they're transitioning out. When they go out, we encourage them to stay 6 feet apart. This also applies to PE. So they're running the track or walking the track. The kiddos wear their mask out, they can take them down, they go on their walk. If they're going to go up to someone and have a conversation, they have their mask with them. They can pull it up and have that conversation because they're going to be right here in close contact. And I hear what you're saying. It helps, if you have the virus and it protects people if you have it. Well, if those kids are in close contact and someone does have it, then that right there is shut down. That whole grade level is shut down. Not only that grade level, but then we have activity teachers who have worked with that. So that's 9 teachers, the whole grade level, not including the bus, et cetera, et cetera. So that is what we tell our kiddos. If you are going to, you don't have to wear your mask when you're outside. I've seen groups of girls, they will get together and they are socially distanced, they have their mask down, and they are playing. I have sent out additional things that teachers can work with the kiddos. It's just, they're more of organized play. With the organized play, they're working through issues. If there's conflict, they are learning to take turns, and they're having a grand old time. Some of the kids they run around, they are doing whatever. They don't have their mask on, but they're socially distancing.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bedrew. Anybody else have any comments or any further
I've got a
discussion?
comment, or actually, I'd like to make a point, actually, I'd like to, ask for some information. Since Jason's first motion failed, we actually have some time for this mask thing to go. We will vote on that, we have to. But I would like to ask our principals to survey their staffs and get us a report on, I don't apologize for standing up for our teachers and trying to keep them healthy and safe, because if they're not there, that whole classroom's gone. So I would like to know their feelings on how safe they would, on how they would feel with no mask in their classroom. I mean, if they're good with it, I'll be honest with you, I'm good with it, but they're the ones that have to deal with it every day for the rest of the school year. So personally, I'd like to know their feelings.
I may need a clarifying, this is a clarifying question. You asked about how teachers felt with no mask in their classrooms like we presently have?
No, just,
When we go back full-time.
they don't have them in there anyway now, because they're so, I'm talking about when we go back
Okay,
full-time.
okay, we'll go back.
If masks are optional.
Yeah.
I don't wanna say no mask, because I think some people's gonna wear them anyways.
I agree, I think some of them will, I agree with you. I just wanna know how our teachers, there's instances of teachers retiring, because they're just not gonna put their health. We haven't had it here, but there are some in Tennessee. There's several, I can't give you a number, but there's several, from what I hear on the news, that just retired because they weren't gonna put their health up. Davidson County can afford that. Y'all wanna help us some. We got a high school teaching position open since the first of school, and we don't have a single applicant for it. Now, what are those kids gonna do? Somebody answer that question for me.
I don't have the education for that.
No, I'm not directing this at you, ma'am.
Oh, and you just look this direction, so I don't have the education for that. I'd love to help you.
Please, don't,
I'd love to help
I'm
you.
not focusing anything on you at all. Don't mean, and I apologize if it looked that way.
It's okay, I'm just saying, I'd love to help you. I just don't have
Right,
that
but I mean,
education.
it's always been difficult to fill teaching positions in our county. And if we get just 2 or 3, I mean, it may just be 1. We got 1. I mean, what are we gonna do? It's hard to teach when you ain't got a teacher.
How do y'all recruit teachers? How does that process happen? Does it show as a career on like the website, or do y'all actually have some outreach beyond just posting it on the
Dr.
website?
Satterfield, I worked in this system for 37 years. And that man goes to every job fair. He goes to every college, Tennessee Tech, all these places around here. And he starts doing it when they have them, like in October, November, December, between the semesters and stuff. Because he'll hire them then, if he can, if we know of openings that are coming up.
I just asked, because I know he needed subs, and so
Right,
that's the reason why I just wonder what keeps people from coming
Substitutes have
here.
always been at a premium in our county. Typically, they're older people that have, a lot of them are retired teachers, and they're just not gonna put their health at risk. That's why it's worse now, because they've just taken the year off. It's difficult. To be honest with you, it's almost impossible to find it. But, I mean, those are things we have to think about,
And I'm okay with pushing that vote on that, because, it's not gonna affect anything, but I definitely want it on there to be discussed further, and.
We have to vote on it unless you withdraw it.
Yeah, we have to vote at this point. But we just know that if it doesn't get effective, this is something that will be addressed when we come back to going back full time. We will have to, we can bring this back up again. But we do have it on the floor as a motion, so we have to go ahead and vote on it. Is there any other discussion before I call for a second?
Yeah, Madam Chair, again, it's just clarifying. I think what I hear Mr. Sullivan saying is when we return back to school, I would like to revisit the mask requirement. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
So that's why they both went together. Okay, so we can definitely poll our staff like you asked, and we can bring you that down. We can do that for you.
Okay. But the motion that we need to address,
Yeah,
do you have that written?
I do. The motion to make protective mask requirements optional. Is that what I heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have that motion on the floor.
But that would be when we return. That doesn't mean immediately. I think I'm hearing that.
I believe that's what.
Well, right now, I mean, they're not having it, would you agree? I mean, right now, we don't have that issue anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, but I definitely want that to be addressed before we go back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. All right, so I've got a motion to to make protective mask requirements optional. Is what I've got, when we return. 100
Full time.
to the traditional schedule.
Okay.
But if it fails tonight, we can bring it up next month. I mean, we can bring it up again.
Right.
Because obviously, when we go back 100%, we would want to look at our mask.
Yeah, and I would like to hear from the teachers before I would, like, what time is up that
Okay.
day, you know, so, so we have that motion, is that in the form of a motion, do I have a second to support?
Yeah, I'd say.
Okay,
Okay, you got that, Ms. Towns?
I do, Ms. Towns, second. So all in favor of this motion, say aye. All opposed,
No,
like sign, no.
All right, let me get that down. All right, so I've got Sullivan making the motion, Towns making the second. Can I have a roll call vote on that to get everybody?
You can.
Okay, can you ask for
All
that?
right. Ms. Towns?
If I say yes, that's in agreement.
Yes, yes,
Support?
ma'am.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Crook?
Let me make sure I'm understanding this. This is only if we go back, is that correct?
Yes, I wrote it down to make protective mask requirements optional when we return to traditional schedule.
Yeah.
Mr. Kerr?
based on the information that I don't have from the teachers, I'm gonna vote no at this time.
Yes, and Waller, no, at this time. I would be all for it, but I would like to hear from our teachers and that information.
Okay, it is 3 for and 2 against. So that motion would carry, Madam Chair.
And just so everyone knows, a motion could be made later to rescind it and go back and just, you know.
Okay. I think that may be all that we have.
Okay. Are there any other questions from any board members about any account analysis, vendor checks, expenditures, encumbrances, anything like that before we adjourn? Okay, hearing none, then I will, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Mr. Crook makes a motion and a second,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? So carries. All right, thank you guys for being there and your time. And I apologize that I couldn't be there. Hopefully I'll be back with you guys next time.
And Ms. Wall, we'll get everybody to sign the resolution this evening, and then I'll catch up with you soon to get your signature.
Ms. Raines?
Thank you.
All right,
See
thank you
you.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you. I've never been at one that's calculated per 100,000. So the statistics were. They're not actually just, okay, see, I didn't do that. We have new board members. I knew you did. I got you. Well, no, I'm glad you told me, because I did look at that. I just didn't. I got you.
So if you do it that way, it does look
Yes,
like
ma'am.
have a lot less in that way.
I just got, I ain't got out of the board meeting.
I did. He did. I was gonna give you this information.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I know Miss Happy would have gave it to me. Thank you, Mr. Turner, appreciate you.
Steve's been trying to call me twice during his board meeting.
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir.